everybody, welcome to Fruitful Trees, and I'm so excited about today's video. Here is a clip of a tree I just bought, and then we're going to talk today about white sapote growing in South Florida. Alright everybody, this is a Densler white sapote, and they have here 3 gallon, 7 gallons, 15 gallons, and they have 25 gallons. And here's an amazing 7 gallon. Look at the size of this 7 gallon white sapote. If you don't get it fast, it might be potted up, but they have it now. And they also have these excellent looking white sapotes. They have Redlands and they have Densler. They have so much other varieties of different trees, but if you're looking for white sapote, I'm on the search to get white sapote, and I wanted the Densler variety, and I found it. Jackpot at one of my favorite nurseries here, Jack and the Beanstalk Nursery. Okay, everybody, here it is. This is the tree from that video. This is a Densler white sapote tree, 15 gallon that I got at Jack and the Beanstalk Nursery. I put it in the ground, and I got some stakes there. I'm going to stake it up. I'm so excited about this. This is a Densler variety, and I needed to make room for this tree. So what did I do to make room for this tree? Yes, I got rid of this tree. This was a seedling soursop tree, and I took it out. I was going to cut it, but it came out with the roots. And you see I have a tree there that's a Catalina avocado. And then if you come all the way over here, I have a jackfruit tree over there in the corner. And initially I had one tree there, 10 feet, 10 feet, and then 10 feet. But now this way I took the jackfruit out, and I also took a soursop out, leaving 15 feet on both sides of this Densler white sapote, 15 gallon white sapote. This was the one you saw on the truck at the nursery that I got, and today we're going to talk about this. Okay, so I want your help with white sapote, and I want to help you as well. Okay, it's going to work both ways. The way I'm going to help you is I'm going to tell you what nurseries have what variety, and I'm going to recommend you definitely get them as soon as possible. And this is for South Florida growing. The way you could help me is if you are growing white sapote in South Florida or anywhere in Florida, I'd like to know what varieties you're growing and how they're doing here in South Florida. What is really piquing my interest besides the amazing taste of white sapote that I love so much, and how great they freeze and how great they fruit in South Florida. Recently, somebody posted a post on Facebook that said they have a white sapote right now, and we are in November, right now, fruiting heavily. And as far as to my knowledge, all of the Florida varieties would fruit in May, June, and some in July. So I really want to know what variety this is. The person said it was there when they moved there. So if anyone has a white sapote tree in South Florida or anywhere in Florida, please comment below what you have and when does it fruit and how it's doing. So this is a Densler variety, and I have 5 varieties of white sapote on my property in the ground, and then I have some that are not in the ground. This is an amazing fruit, and we need to talk more about these varieties. So this is a Densler variety. I haven't tasted it yet. It's supposed to be a delicious variety and grow really well. We'll see. There's another variety called Vernon. That one, there's a guy in Australia growing white sapotes, and his Vernon tree grows out of season than all his other ones. So I got a Vernon variety, which is originally from California, I believe, and it's one that does okay here in South Florida, even though it's not a Florida variety. It's supposed to be very vigorous, but the thing is it's supposed to fruit off-season, meaning in the winter time, so we'll see how it is. So I've been doing a lot of research on these as well. Another popular one here in South Florida that I love, and I'm going to show you right now which one it is, it's Redlands. If you have to get one proven tree here in South Florida, I'd recommend the Redlands white sapote, because this one, it comes from Redlands, Florida, and it is proven. I've had it in the ground for years, maybe almost 9 or 10 years now. Every year it gives me a tremendous amount of fruit. I love this tree, and it fruits great. And here it is. I'll turn the camera around and show you all. Now I have to trim this tree every year or it would be way too big. And there's different ways to trim the tree in terms of height. Right. Every year it's loaded, and most of the fruit drops on the floor when they're ripe. The Redlands variety, the fruit turns yellow when they're ready here in South Florida, so that's great. I recently had to take a limb off here, or I did, but I like to keep the lower limbs on the white sapote tree, and it's in the corner, so I don't really need to walk under it, so I don't mind doing it like that. But the top, it keeps growing. This tree is very vigorous and grows really fast, so I have to always cut it back. The good news here is it's the easiest variety to find here in South Florida. I'm going to name a couple of nurseries that have this variety at the end of this video. That's how I'm going to help you. But this is the one I'd recommend you start out with. It's proven. It tastes absolutely amazing. It fruits amazing, and it's very easy to keep under control. Love it, love it, love it. So that's the Redlands variety of white sapote here in South Florida. And people ask me often about the skin on the white sapote. I hear some white sapotes, the skin is a little thicker or not, or thinner, but is the skin edible? The skin is 100% edible if it's organic and you're growing it yourself. The thing is, some varieties, the skin has a bitter aftertaste. And it's not really, I mean, the overpowering sweetness of the fruit will definitely outweigh the bitterness of the skin, but some people don't like that aftertaste. Now, it's interesting. I didn't know I had a Redlands variety because when I first got it, the person that put it in said it was called Youngblood. There's no variety called Youngblood. So I don't know if he meant young hands, but I had to do a lot of research and comparing fruit, and I finally brought it down to Lara Farms, and Julian looked at it right away. He said, that's a Redlands. So that's how I think it's a Redlands variety. My neighbor has a giant tree and had it for years, really old tree, identical to my fruit. So I'm assuming his is a Redland and mine's a Redland. Taste the same, look the same. What's so interesting is, for years I would get fruit from my neighbor's tree and they were small, like the size of a golf ball. For years. Then I put this tree in, and all of a sudden the fruit on his tree grew to the size of like a tennis ball. And it's like, wow. And Julian at Lara Farms said that's because they do self-pollinate. So from my experience, all the South Florida varieties will self-pollinate. But when they have another tree nearby, they will pollinate and be more productive and bigger. The fruit will be bigger. And also, you'll get more seeds in the fruit. So that's what I learned. And my fruit, when they first fruited, they were a smaller size. And now those, sometimes they get up to a little smaller than a tennis ball. So that's quite interesting. For my trees and my neighbor trees, the fruit falls all over the floor. And I see somebody online saying, don't let them fall because they'll break. Mine tend not to break. Maybe my ground's softer. And that's how I know when they're ripe. I walk out there every morning in the summer, and it is loaded with white sapote. Way more than I can eat. And this is one fruit that fills me up. So way more than I can eat. But I found out you could freeze them. And it is the best frozen tasted fruit that I've ever had. I have some in my freezer right now. And this is why I'm so excited to get more trees. Because not only can you eat them during the season, but I love frozen fruit because it helps you, gives you something to do with all the fruit. Mangoes, bananas, mamey. These are fruits you could freeze. And if you couldn't, you don't need all these trees. But I could freeze the white sapote, and I want to taste the other varieties. But Redland is delicious. I actually got 2 Redland because before I found out this was a Redland, I bought one, and it's in the ground. It's grown well. So let me show you another variety here. And again, if you're growing white sapote here in South Florida, let me know how it's going for you. A couple of people told me they have purchased white sapote trees, 3 gallon, and put them in the ground, and it's 3 years later. They say they're growing well, but no flowers yet. So they take quite a while to grow. That one I bought was a 15 gallon. I guess it took maybe 3 or 4 years before I got fruit. I have some 3 gallons that I'm going to show you now, and these One of them, this one just fruited last year, and this one has been in the ground for maybe 5 years or so. This is a Homestead variety. Homestead White Sapote. And I hope all these varieties are true. Now, they're not true to seed. White Sapotes aren't, so you can get the seeds and grow them and just graft these on there. Probably the best way to get these varieties these days because they're not very popular. But I hope they're properly labeled, is another word, what I meant to say. But this one is a Homestead variety. It's grown really well. Last year I had my first fruit on it. I was very pleased with it. Really excited. I originally had a Kent mango tree here, and I had this tree in another spot that wasn't getting water, and it struggled for years. And finally, the Kent mango got back to a black spot. I took it out, and I put this tree here, and it's been on water, and right away it started blooming, going crazy once I put it on water. So this is Homestead White Sapote. All right, so that's 2 varieties down. So I'm so excited about this. I just went to, I did a big search to see who's growing what, or who's selling what. And remember, this is South Florida White Sapote varieties. And let me show you some of the ones I found. Here are 3 varieties I got that will be going in the ground. And again, I'll put the nurseries below and also tell you where to get these. But this one I'm really excited about. I hear it's one of the sweetest tasting ones. It's called Bonita Springs. Definitely a South Florida variety. Bonita Springs White Sapote. This one is this one's a 15 gallon. 15 gallon. No, this one's not a 15 gallon. This one's a 7 gallon. And look how great that's doing. And then we got 2 more here. This one here is a Vernon variety. Vernon White Sapote in a 3 gallon. And then there's this one that I just up-potted. This one is a Young Hands White Sapote. So those are 3 cool varieties. Now, I was recently down in Homestead a while ago, like last year, and I got to taste a new variety that Julie and Laura found that tastes amazing. And that one, well, he's naming Campbell, or Campbell. I'll put a quick link here of me tasting the Campbell variety, or Campbell variety. Okay, so I'm going to taste this. Julian's been talking about this a long time, and he likes it so much. He says the best he's ever tasted. And he actually is propagating this and selling these in 1 gallons. He has them now. So this is my first one of this supposedly the best you've ever tasted, and you've tasted a lot. So here we go. And I've tasted a lot of white sapote. Might be one of the best fruits I've ever tasted. Wow. Wow. No bitter aftertaste. No tartness at all. The only thing is a big seed, right? Yeah, there's seeds in there. Juicy. Wow. Flan? Does it taste like flan, like caramel? That was a big seed, but wow. And wow, here it is. So, again, the taste, a 10. The consistency, a 10. There's no after bitter taste or anything like that. Not that there's a big bitter taste on some of the other ones, but it's there, but not on this one. My only thing about this one, and I don't even mind the big seeds because there was a lot of meat on there. The only thing is the skin here doesn't melt as much as it was in some of the other varieties. So what? You spit the skin out, or it's more fiber, so that's fine. Wow, that's great. That's great. So, but it was amazing, and I had bought in 2 1-gallon Campbell variety trees. Both of them didn't make it, but I'm in the process right now of getting a 3-gallon, so I should have that any day now. And I'm also getting a McDill. McDill's another variety that I'll be getting, and I want to plant all of these and see what the seasons are and how they taste and do a review of all of these. But I'm really excited about that. So, I was in California back in the late 90s when I tasted my first white sapote, variety of white sapote, and it was a Subele. And California is a whole nother story. They have a whole bunch of different white sapotes in California. And in California, I tasted the Subele, and I loved it. I fell in love with it. But I didn't know it can grow here in Florida, and I found that it could. And I would say besides the Redlands, Subele is probably the second most popular variety here in South Florida as well. And I bought a tree, and about 2 years ago it started fruiting, and it is humongous now. It's catching up to my Redlands tree, and the fruit was amazing. So there's my Subele tree. And when I originally, and you can see how big it is, look, and I pruned it. So I did prune it, and it's still pretty big. So when I initially put it in the ground, it was really loose. I had to put posts because it wasn't even staying in place. But now it's rock solid in the ground, growing great. Last year I had a tremendous amount of fruit on this. The year before a small amount. And you can see here, even after the prune, look how beautiful it is when that grows. So this is growing back, and even the top part that I cut is growing. The interesting thing about the Subele is very cool that this fruited 1 month later than my Redlands. So I don't know if that's a common thing that's going to happen. I'll know more this summer, but just keep that in mind. I had my Redlands started fruit in May and June, maybe July, and this one was June, July, and August. So this one went a little bit later. So remember, it was my first year, so of having an abundant crop on that. So that's that. Now I need to find more spaces for all my other white Sapote, and I'm looking at all these spaces. A lot of people don't know what white Sapote is. As you can see, that one's up front, and I gotta think about my foot traffic here, and I'm gonna plant another one. And here's what I'm gonna do. I have this Excalibur tree here, and I'm gonna take this out. I have a seedling mango there. This moringa, I always cut back my moringa because I use the powder, so that's gonna open up the space. So this space right up front here, I'm gonna put another white Sapote. That's gonna be at least one space for white Sapote, and I will try to figure out more. So I'm gonna show you some other trees, white Sapote trees, but for now I want to show you a clip. I recently purchased that tree, the Densler white Sapote tree, at a nursery called Jack and the Beanstalk Nursery here in Loxahatchee. And I interviewed the owner about white Sapote, that variety, and just in general, how to take care of them. So I'm going to put her here at this clip now, and then I'm going to go and show you a few more trees, and then I'll let you know what nurseries have what varieties right now, based on when this video is out. That might change in the future, but for now, so you could check those out. So here's that clip. And here's Catherine. Hi, Catherine.
How you doing?
So tell us about the Densler, because you said you had it fruit before. Because you have some 25-gallon in a pot that's already fruiting.
Already been fruiting, actually. The Densler variety, in comparison with the other white Sapotes, what it does, they do actually change color when they're ripe, which help you at least to find out when it's ready to pick. The other thing that does is kind of off-season, because most white Sapotes, they fruit kind of in the same time like everybody in the summer, but this one is start actually ripening or harvesting time around fall. So it gives you a chance at least to enjoy a different fruit in a different season, which is a great advantage. And of course, you guys know already, white Sapote is something that you can plant all the way up to Orlando, Cala, because it tolerates 9A, 24 degrees. So it's definitely a good tree for up north central Florida. And it's delicious. You already tasted several times.
Oh, it's amazing. Now, is there a big difference in the taste between the Densler and the Redlands, or not really?
I believe this one, it has more caramel flavor,
okay,
than the Redlands.
Okay.
But both are really great varieties.
And both of them are on the bigger side, yes?
On the bigger size, yes.
Okay.
Fruit is about between 14 to 20 ounces approximately.
Maybe a tennis ball size?
Tennis ball, yeah, bigger than a tennis ball. More like an apple size,
Now, if somebody's going to get white Sapote, do they need two to propagate, or one self-pollinating?
One is self-pollinating. As a matter of fact, you don't have space, one is enough. This is a self-fertility tree. They do it by itself.
But if they have two, will it pollinate more?
Not really.
Okay.
No, it's not like an avocado that, when it has two and then you get more. No. I mean, you have two, you're going to have more fruit because you have two. Sure. But You don't need a second one.
Now,
One is okay.
one of the things I noticed on the leaves of the white sapote tree, they often get a snail or some type of worm that eats the leaves.
Yes.
So
it's actually, you know what it is? Is the snails. Well, in this area in Loxahatchee, we have too much humidity and we have the sprinkles, so we always have to battle with the snails. I use Slago, which is organic, as you guys know. There is a trick which I find out, and everybody told me, but it actually works. If you guys drink beer, just put a can of beer in there, and the snails goes inside. Actually, the beer they'll drink and they'll die.
really?
Yeah, and I find out because I remember what I don't know who leave it, but I did somebody leave actually a can of beer open in front of the nursery. When I went, it was full of snails, dead. And it actually works. I mean, it's
So you just leave the bottle of the can open.
Open.
right next to the tree.
next to the tree, and they'll just go jumping. They are happy people.
So if you don't want to do the beer, so what else do you do? What do you
we
say
use Slago.
It's like, what's that, a snail poison?
Yes, but it's organic actually.
Okay.
It's organic because I do have dogs, and my dogs they like to jump into.
And where do you get that? Home Depot?
Everywhere online, we sell it here. Everywhere. It's a very popular thing for snails. Another way organically to control snails is the eggshells, crunch it, and put it on top. It becomes like they are walking in like crystals for the snails. So they'll cut it up, and that's another way to do it.
Now,
and eventually it will give you calcium to your plant,
yeah, to me, white sapote is the most underrated fruit, I think. It tastes absolutely amazing.
Yes.
It grows great. Other than the snails on the leaves, there's no known diseases. Do you know of any?
Really.
Even though it's in the citrus family, it doesn't get the leaf minor or anything like that.
No, they don't get leaf minors. We don't do more than fertilization to these. And like I said, some when I see eating leaves, just snails. But rather than that, they don't get fungus, even though they are in the wet area. They don't get fungus. They don't get mites. I mean, they are very easy. Generally speaking, I believe most sapotes, they are very easy to grow in comparison with a lower, it's easy maintenance. So now, somebody who's trying to do starting the new garden, I think it's a good option for them because it's an easy maintenance tree. Now,
some trees do better sitting in water, some not. Avocado, no. Mango's okay. How do these do?
Okay. Not ideal. We had to battle this here. They could tolerate wet area. It's not ideal though, but they could tolerate. If you have low spot, it's not the ideal place, but they could tolerate. They're not gonna die. They don't get infected, but it's not ideal because eventually, of course, they could probably get fungus if they literally, get flooded constantly. But yeah, it could handle a little.
And drought-wise, how do they do? Do they need to be watered regularly, or they do pretty well?
Really. They're drought resistant. As they get mature, they get more drought resistance. You don't have too much care. At the beginning, what I realized, they don't like too much water, especially in the 3 gallons. I realized they don't really tolerate too much water. As they get older, they were able to tolerate more irrigation because I do have irrigation set up for everybody goes to the same.
Yes.
I don't have discrimination. Everybody goes one time, one other day. So, but the 3 gallons, I know they struggle with too much water when they're young.
Okay, when they're young.
Yeah.
Now, these trees here, you have a 7 and you have some 15s. How long before these trees have fruit on them?
Because they're grafted, they pretty much start fruiting from this size, I would say a couple years. They flower super fast. So even in the 3 gallons, they flower. But like most fruits, the stem needs to be over 1 inch in diameter to be able to really hold the fruit to the full term. So I find out when they are in a 15 gallons and up, that's when I start actually already trying. 15 gallons, I know they start already forming the fruit. Sometimes take it, sometimes it drop. But in a 25 gallons, because it's almost 2 inches the diameter, then they hold it. For sure, they take it to the full term.
Now, if 2
years from now,
if they do hold the fruit early, is it better to not let them fruit early like a mango, or it doesn't affect it later on?
No, it's better not to let it fruit.
Okay.
It's better not to let it fruit, John, because at the end you're not gonna have a quality fruit, and then the fruit itself is gonna drop prematurely, or maybe doesn't dry or give you the good taste that the white sapote has. So better just remove it the first time and then let it be stronger.
Okay.
Give you a quality fruit.
You got Densla and Redland. Are you going to be getting other varieties?
Yes, next in spring, we're going to have Subele, maybe the Campos too, most likely in 3 gallons, because it's going to be a new
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, Subele's amazing as well.
Yes, I never could keep up with that one. Every time that I drink it, it's like gone. So
yes.
I got to start drinking more of that one.
Okay. This is a great tree, everybody, and I'm going to put the address below to Jack and the Beanstalk Nursery. And look at all the other trees they got in the background. This is out back, and you see how big all these other trees are. These aren't white sapotes only. They have any tree you could imagine, and big, small. I've seen some humongous star apples back there. And this is a place you definitely want to check out. It's in Loxahatchee, Florida. And look how blessed I am. Look, this one's going in the ground as soon as I get it home. This is Densler white sapote, off-season white sapote. Really excited about that. And how long before this might have some fruit?
1 year.
1 year.
Maybe next year, but probably the first time I will remove it.
Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
But yeah, in a year you will enjoy another variety in your home.
And you have a bunch of 3 gallons up front of the Redlands.
Yeah,
and Redlands is the one I got. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's a good variety, definitely.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. There it is. Address is below. Go get a white sapote tree. All right, everybody. This is my neighbor's yard, and this is his white sapote tree that a friend of ours planted around 2005. And look how big it is. And it's trimmed every year pretty much. And this is the one I was telling you about. The fruit used to be the size of a ping pong ball. And when I put my tree in, now the fruit comes like the size of a tennis ball. And Julian said that was because of the self-pollination or the pollinating of my tree. But it's a wonderful variety. I'm assuming it's a Redlands variety because we are here in Florida, and that's usually what was available around that time mostly. And it tastes just like mine. But as we grow others, we'll see. But beautiful tree, and I want to show you the growth pattern of this. Definitely a tree that if you keep tall, you will get the fruit because they will fall when they're ripe. However, because of the wind and the hurricanes, you probably want to keep them shorter anyway. But this whole floor is loaded with these fruits when they come down. And this is the variety that I definitely recommended. He grafted a Subele branch on the other side of this. And we'll see how that comes out. But the branch is coming out great. So I highly recommend this. So let's go take a look at some more. Okay, everybody. Here I am in my mango land yard. And here in the front, again, the front of the fence, I have my other Redlands variety. This is Redland. And this one went in the ground as a 3-gallon pot. Growing really nice. So this is Redland. It gave fruit last year as well. So these are quite interesting on the stalk. I had it labeled there. I moved the label to here. But, you know, it looks like these are the grafts. But it's so low to the ground, you never know. Maybe this is the original tree and this is a graft. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. I often have that when it branches low to the ground. I often wonder. You got to make sure the root isn't coming out. But on these, I'll be glad to see the seedling what it is. But this fruited last year for the first time. It's getting water, and it's growing nice. So when these are growing, they need water. But this one's going to grow nice right here in this spot. Eventually, I'll be taking this tree out, and I might have another space if this banana goes for another white sapote there. Okay, everybody, so I told you all I was going to help you. First, help me. Put in the comments below if you're in South Florida and you're growing white sapote. Let me know what variety you're growing, and hopefully something I said in this video will help you. But I want to tell you what nurseries have what right now currently, okay? Right now we are in October 31st in South Florida, 2024. And I remember years ago when I first started looking for trees, I spoke to Excalibur Fruit Trees, and they had a ton of different varieties. Rob at the time was there. And they had a ton of different varieties there. And if I could do it all over again, I would have bought a 3-gallon of all varieties there. They had SES, they had USDA, but, you know, I didn't get them at the time, unfortunately. And now all they have there now is I believe, Subele. So Subele is a wonderful variety. That's Excalibur fruit trees. Currently, now all these places will get more, especially after this video. But currently, that's what they have. I'll put all the addresses here below. And I don't even know what size they have or what they have left. And that wouldn't... there's other places that have Subele as well. But if you're in the area, that's one place that has that. Let's look at some other varieties and see what we got going on here. Let me get my little list out. Let me come here and sit down, and I'll talk to you about the other varieties and what we got growing on. Okay, Julian at Lara Farms, Miami currently is sold out of all of his varieties, but there's a waiting list for the Campbell White Sapote, which is one I definitely recommend. And he had Young Hands, and he has a Young Hands tree, and he has a Redlands tree. So shortly and always, he should have those White Sapotes in stock, Young Hands and Redlands. So I have the Young Hands. I hear that's one of the best ones. We'll see, but I got one from him. So I think I got the last one, but he will get some more because he has the tree, so he has the budwood, and he also has the Redlands tree. So Excalibur and also Julian at Lara Farms, they might currently be sold out of stock, but you could try them. And Julian's in Miami. Also Miami, Al's Fruit Trees has a big Redlands tree. They have a 15-gallon Redland tree, and I thought it was like pretty cheap actually. So I don't know how many they have, but if you call Al's Fruit Trees, I know when I spoke to them about a month ago, they had a 15-gallon or maybe even a 25-gallon Redlands. They had a great deal on that, I remember. So if you're up here in Palm Beach County, Jack and Jill Beanstalk, that's where I got the one I put in the ground back there that I was showing you, the Denzler. They have a bunch of Denzler. I think they have a big tree and they got the rootstock from that. So Jack and Jill Beanstalk, the Beanstalk Nursery in Loxahatchee, Florida, and in Palm Beach County, they have Denzler variety, and they also have Redlands, and they're going to be getting in Subele. But I know they have Denzler and Redland. Okay. Another place you want to check out is if you go to Incredible Edible Landscaping. That's where I got the Bonita Springs and my Vernon. They also have Subele, Denzler, and Redland. So they have 5 varieties that are known to do well here in South Florida. And all these links will be below. And then, of course, Xain's World. Now, Xain's World is very interesting. Xain's World usually has the common Florida varieties in stock, so check with them. But they're going to have like 8 to 12 varieties because they're bringing in varieties from California and from Hawaii. And they're the only place where you're going to be able to get these different varieties. So that's good, and also a question mark, because it's good because you got new varieties. Nobody else has them. Definitely get out to Xain's World and check out what they got. But they are used to the California environment, and from what I hear, some varieties that do good out there, it's drier and not as wet as Florida, won't do as good in the wet environment. That might not be true at all. So if I had the space, I would get one of each and plant them all, but I don't have the space. But I know they have, I think, 3 varieties now in stock, and they're going to have up to 8 to 11. So definitely call Xain's World in Loxahatchee and see what they got. Again, links will be below. Now, I know Xain's World told me they're going to have, in about a month from now, December 2024, a bunch of Campbell White Sapote that they're going to have in stock. And that one is a hot item right now. So the only 2 places I know that have that are Lara Farms, and they're sold out now, but they're going to be grafting some more. And Xain's World told me they're going to be getting some in. So definitely check those out. Some other nurseries that sell White Sapote, I know Trees and More, Mike at Trees and More, he sells White Sapote, so definitely check him out. And everyone else I think I contacted now might currently be sold out. So there's just too many mentioned. All the videos I do with nurseries here in South Florida or even Central Florida, definitely go and check them out and call them if you want to be sure to see what they have or don't have. But these are the places that I know at least have some right now. Now the good news is, if you get a seed of a white sapote, they're very easy to seed up. They're very easy to graft. So if you get a seed of a white sapote, I'll have budwood of all these varieties eventually. And I'm happy to share it locally, the budwood. And I didn't show you one more tree that I'm going to show you before I end the video. It is a tree that I had from another property that I moved here. I transplanted it. It transplanted well, but it kind of hasn't been doing anything since. So since it's not doing anything, I think I'm going to top work it with something else. I'm going to show you that as we end the video here. But again, if you're growing white sapote, please let me know how it is. I'm trying to find out what variety that person's growing on Facebook, or if it's even a real post that says they have a variety growing off season here in South Florida. But I'm really excited that people are interested in this fruit. It's just... You can't grow durian here in South Florida, but besides durian, it has to be one of my favorite fruits, because not only can you eat it and it's delicious and it fruits abundantly, but you could freeze it and it's amazing as well. So let me show you my variety that I'm not even sure what it is, but it's not doing great, that I'm going to end up top working in the closing of this video. All right, everybody, here in my front yard, this was from my old house. It never fruited, but this is a white sapote. I don't know the variety. It's not looking great. And it is on water. You know, definitely got to clean it up. But it's fruiting. I mean, it's not fruiting, it's growing. But this one is going to be top worked. So I'll make another video of that. It's going to be my first experience in top working white sapote. And hopefully we can get this moving, because it's a nice spot. And maybe we'll do a multi-graft on here. All right, everybody, there you have it. That is white sapote, and I'm excited. I'm excited to see how these things go. And I have some white sapote in the freezer still that I could eat now that I froze this summer. And they were under a bunch of mangoes, so I'm going to check that out. And I did just buy a second deep freezer because the first one was so great. It's amazing how great they freeze. All my mangoes and my white sapotes froze great this year. So get yourself a deep freezer, grow some mangoes and bananas and white sapote, and even mamey sapote, and freeze them so you could have fruit all year. That's the goal. All right, to grow your food. And fresh is always best, but I still rather have frozen fruit from my yard that I grew myself instead of who knows what you're getting from the store, even if it's fresh. All right, everybody, have a great day and keep growing. And by the way, if you want to get this hat or this shirt, links are below as well. So grab yourself some merch and keep growing. For more educational videos about mangoes and other fruits and how to grow fruit trees, please look out the other videos on this channel, Fruitful Trees, and also subscribe if you like, and also share these videos with others. Thank you for watching. Have a great day and keep growing.